So this is on the agenda today. This is what we're doing. I'm going to tell you why Charleston White is a piece of crap, but also I'm going to tell you why black culture is degenerate. You ready? Okay, let's get into it. So, the 1017 artist Enchanting passed away. She allegedly overdosed. So, with that, Charleston White decided to take to social media because guess what? He's from Fort Worth, Texas. She's from Fort Worth, Texas. So, he had some things on his mind he had to say. He said, "This young lady is from my city. I'm very familiar with her rap success, and it wasn't a success. I mentioned her situation years ago. She was an F toy with talent who hardly put music out, but posted a lot of social media pics. If someone died doing what they like to do, getting high, then why should anybody be sad for that person? She died a dope fiend, just like the rest of them in the music industry. Told y'all they was just, I'm not even going to read that. He basically saying she was just getting smashed. So we're going to go to some of the comments as well. The first comment says, he just says what most people are afraid to say. This is public information, so when people do things publicly, people have every right to voice their opinion. This is harsh, but let's be real here. The next person says, hey man, this why y'all ain't like Kevin Samuels. Y'all hate anyone who has an opinion outside of the typical RIP or typical program responses that y'all have been programmed to say when someone dies. The next person says, he told the truth. The black community hates the truth. Y'all would rather talk about sacrifices and woo-woo other than take accountability for the shit we do. Somebody else called for him to be canceled. So since a lot of people, and probably even you, think this is okay, I'm going to take some time to, educate you a little bit and tell you what's wrong with this. Then we're going to get to the comments just to talk about the people. And more than likely, you're going to be one of them because I know how you guys get in the comments. One of the first things that he says is that her rap career basically wasn't successful. I'll be honest. I think that's objectively true. But the question you have to ask is, why is that something to say? We'll get to that later. So the next thing is he basically calls her a fuck toy and just says they were fucking on her and she wasn't putting no music out, stuff like this. This is the thing. What does that matter in this situation? What is the relevance of her being a promiscuous woman in her death? She died from an overdose. Why is this something that you feel the need to say, whether it's true or not? We'll just get to the root of this first. The thing that is wrong about this is it is outright disrespectful to the dead. That's the first thing. It is outright disrespectful. You should not disrespect the dead, especially somebody who just died. I could understand if it was a public, global figure, especially somebody who caused a lot of pain, like a Hitler or something like that. I could understand that. This is a rapper who he said was not successful. And if what she was doing was smashing, who is she really hurting? To where we just so openly accept him disrespecting the dead and think that that's the thing to do. It doesn't matter if that's what people are thinking or da-da-da-da-da. What is the relevance of that? What is the relevance of that? And why do you feel the need to disrespect her? This is the thing about it. You listening to this, you have probably done things in your life to where somebody could really just remember you by that. And it's something negative. And they could say something negative about you when you pass publicly. They could shit on you. How do you think your family would feel? But see, we not even going to go that route because that's one of the main issues. Nobody thinks about the loved ones of this person. and nobody just has the common decency. It's just because it's not. I see the people saying, "Oh, people are afraid to say." It's not about being afraid to say something. I'll give you an example. If somebody is a killer and they have killed a lot of people, and then they die. When they die, they get killed by somebody else. And then you go and you say something along the lines of, F him, he a coward. He killed so many people because he was so scary. Da 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 da. And you just really crap all over him and his memory. The reason that that's okay and the reason that it makes sense is because he has inflicted harm on a lot of people. This is actually looked at as karma for his actions. He is a really bad person. Listen, man, I'm somebody that's hard on hoes, man. And that's me keeping it 500,000. Listen, how is that hurting somebody? Like, how is that hurting somebody to the point where you feel compelled to disrespect them in death? So that's two things. The first thing about that is you shouldn't disrespect somebody in their death. But second, this doesn't warrant disrespect. This is not a harmful act to anybody. Now, the next thing that he said is nobody should be sad for it, basically. Why should we be sad for somebody who was a dope fiend and died a dope fiend? Listen, you could choose to be sad or not. A lot of people die every day and you don't know them and you're not sad. That's just what it is. So that's completely a choice to you. I don't really have a problem with the being sad or anything like that. But this is how come, like, and this is just real. I'm going to keep it all the way real with you. When it comes to the white community and their families, and when they families get hooked on that dope, they say addiction is a disease. They look at their son or their daughter as a son or their daughter. They want them to live. They get them to rehab. They do what they can. And the one thing that everybody understands, regardless of culture, regardless of even this country, is that when people try certain drugs, like they get a hold of you and it's a monster, it's extremely hard to kick that addiction. I'm somebody that I actually absolutely hate drugs. I don't even fuck with weed. I don't do none of that. Never tried no hard drugs or nothing like that. I do not fuck with it. So I'm not no advocate for drugs at all. But the one thing I'm not going to do is shit on somebody that died from an overdose. Now, at the same time, this is what I look at, and this is my actual philosophy. I think if you are not a child, if you are somebody that is an adult, if you are 18 or older and you try hard drugs, you're a fool. Because the thing is, in most communities at this point, you have seen what it can do and you know that it can kill you. When you're a child, you're far more impressionable. We won't go that deep, but regardless, as far as this, he wanted to shit on her for basically having an overdose. And again, it comes back to the same thing that I already mentioned, which is respect for the dead. There is no point in really sending this message out. It doesn't help anybody. And all it does is disrespect her and possibly upset the family. Now, at this point, we get back to the bonehead black people. This is the thing about black people. Black people right now absolutely love ignorance. They love ignorance. When they hear some ignorance, they don't label it as ignorance. They label it as the truth. And they use it as the truth to excuse the ignorance. Again, the whole thing about this is it lacks tact. It doesn't respect the family, as far as her loved ones and things like that. What have they done for them to be, fuck them and we don't care about how they feel? It's common courtesy that other races understand you're supposed to have. But for some reason, when it comes to black people, like that's something that like just class goes out the window. One of the women said he told the truth and black people hate the truth. I can't say if black people hate the truth or not, but I know what black people love. Black people love ignorance. That's how come when you look through the comments, you don't really see too many black people going against what he said. It's not about whether it's true or false. It's that it's rude and fucking ignorant. That's what it is. It's belligerent. It's disrespectful. Now, I'm going to mention somebody from my actual life. There is a turbo rat that I know. Super hood rat. For people who don't understand the lingo, a turbo rat. She worked at one of my jobs. When I worked at the job, we worked with all white people. She was so fucking ghetto. And one of the things about her, one of the qualities that made her so obnoxious is that she would say very rude things, very offsetting things all the time. She would have negative opinions about people and things all the time. Very inappropriate opinions as well. Remember, we're in the workplace. But what she would excuse it with is, I'm just telling the truth. It doesn't matter that you're telling the truth. Nobody asked for the truth when really it's just your opinion. That's what it really is in most cases. For example, if you say, you know, your shoes is ugly and stuff like that, that's an opinion. But if you say, and this is a good example right here, let's say that there was a coworker who got fired for fucking on the job. We're in front of everybody. We're even in front of bosses and things like that. She's a low level employee, like entry level employee. And she said, shit, Sean was fucking. And shit, that's not the only person he was fucking. He was fucking everybody. Shit. Y'all know who the fuck he was fucking. That is inappropriate language. You shouldn't be talking like that on the job. You shouldn't be talking like that on the production floor, and especially in front of a boss. But see, again, black people don't understand tact as far as the majority. They don't understand class. So even though what she's saying is true, she's saying it in an inappropriate way even. And when we just look at the essence of Charleston White, he is extremely ignorant. He has made a career of disrespecting the dead. Nipsey Hussle is a great figure. I understand that he was a rolling 60s gangbanger. You know me. You know I don't support the gangster shit at all. I don't. But the man made like, you know, a science research center for the youth and stuff like that, to where he was going to do stem cell research or something like that with the youth and programs in Compton and stuff like that. He had done a lot of charitable things. He was going to do a lot of good things for not just his community, but honestly, the world, the bigger he got. He was very philanthropic, which is something that people try to use to excuse all of Charleston White's ignorance, that he just has a fucking program that mentors kids. Doesn't give the kids any resources. Doesn't put them up on any crazy game that's going to elevate their life, but basically spends time with them, mentors them, and tells them to not do dope and shit like that. Nipsey was actually spending money in the hood, giving people resources. But this man cuts down his memory and says, fuck Nipsey Hussle. And the way that he excuses it is, oh, Ermias, I fuck with Ermias. It's the dumbest shit. But guess who he doesn't do that with? He doesn't do that with King Von. He just got done antagonizing King Von's family over him getting killed. Now listen, I'm going to keep it a stack. We keep it 500,000. King Von is a killer, so I don't have the most sympathy for him. I don't. Even then, that's one of the situations where I'm not going to lie, it's kind of excusable to an extent because of how much pain and suffering King Von caused. That's how come you don't see me really speak against that too much. But when we talk about this woman, who has she hurt? Who has she actually hurt to where she should be disrespected in her death? Let me tell you who Charleston White is. Charleston White hides under the guise of being a charitable individual, a philanthropic individual, somebody who helps the community and does mentor outreach programs and stuff like that. And that's really the extent of it for real. From what I've seen, I haven't seen anything past that, really. So that's what he hides behind. Because when he goes in these places and he says these ignorant things, that's the thing that black people that love his ignorance fall back on, even though it's not relevant to the ignorance that he's spewing. So that's the foundation. He tries to use that as an excuse of his ignorance. This is the other thing about him. He says that he is a character. He says that he is a character. So what you were seeing is not real. Charleston White is also a coward. This is not a brave man. This is a guy who antagonizes gangsters online every day. And then when he gets threatened, what is the first thing he does? He gets the feds or the cops on him. Now, you would think, oh, law-abiding citizen, this is cool, but this is the thing. You know what this character came in saying? The character came in on Say Cheese saying, I can't wait for a rapper to motherfucking try me so I could bust his brains open and leave him on the floor, da-da-da-da-da. Like, you know, he's talking about shooting somebody. The first person to actually try him. He couldn't wait. But guess what happened? He went on the road in Alabama where he don't got no enemies at, and guess who the fuck he seen? He seen 600 Breezy. 600 Breezy is King Von's homie. And this nigga been talking about King Von a whole fucking time. And guess what? He got hold. And you can go and find the footage of him sitting in the car after the thing and saying basically, yeah, I got hold. But after that, he understood he had to save face, so he tried to spin the narrative. But when he went live in the car, he said the little nigga got the ups on him, and that's when he became the pepper spray man, and I'm calling the police man. I'm working with law enforcement. That's when he became that. So he is a coward. He antagonizes people he has no business antagonizing. And the video is long enough, so I'll wrap it up on this last point. What he actually does, what he actually is, he is similar to Kanye. And he knows how to press people's buttons. He is going to say the most ignorant, inflammatory shit to get attention. That's what he's actually doing. He's going to say the most disrespectful, ignorant, belligerent shit, like him saying that he raped an Asian woman before. Wow. Him saying that he raped a non-black woman before is one of those things that he said that is extremely ignorant. But guess what? When his feet was held to the fire, it is either that or a white woman, whatever it was. He responded to Aber and Preach saying nobody has come out and said anything about me raping them. There have been no allegations. And you know why that is? because he's fucking lying. He is just saying, when he sits down on Shannon Sharp or anything, he is just saying the most ignorant, inflammatory shit he can that is going to get the clicks and views, is going to boost his character and max him out. Because that's what he is. He is an agent of chaos. And I'm going to end it on this note. He said out his own mouth, and this goes hand in hand with the character, I am trying to be the most entertaining individual of all time. Think about what he says on certain occasions, which is, I'm doing this to bring awareness to these social issues so that I can help the youth and da-da-da-da-da. That's what he says. Being the most entertaining man on a planet is not in alignment with helping the youth. It's not. And that's what he's actually aiming to do. This is the thing about it, because people like to say, oh, you don't know what he do. You don't know he do so much for the community. Listen, we know what he do. He get on couches and sit down and say a bunch of bullshit. Guess what you haven't seen him do? You haven't seen him shine the same level of spotlight on any of these platforms, on any of his good deeds or anything as far as him doing an event to help people or anything like that, a mentorship program. You haven't seen him bring as much attention to a good thing that he is doing. You have not seen him have a viral moment, and during that viral moment mention something as far as, yeah, I got the food drive going on and need y'all support. You haven't seen him use his influence for good at a high level. You've never seen it. So let me tell you something in case you didn't get it already. He's full of fucking shit.